In today's video, I'm going to be talking about childbirth tourism. If you're looking for more information on birthing your child in Canada for the purpose of Canadian citizenship and to know how much this could potentially cost you, then you're in the right place. I'm going to be walking you through the process I took with my friend to have her baby here in Canada. Hi everyone, my name is Lola. I live in Alberta, Canada. On my channel, I share my lifestyle. I show you how to live, settle, and survive in Canada. So if you're on my channel for the first time, please ensure to subscribe before you leave today. Please ensure to hit that bell button so that you get notified whenever I post a brand new video. Now let's get on to today's topic. This video is a highly requested video. This topic is definitely a top 5 on my list of inquiries. For almost 2 years, I've been trying to make this video. I just never came around to it. However, after a recent experience that gave me a much clearer perspective, I feel more confident to come here to share this information with you, because now I'm not just sharing based on the information I have gathered. I'm actually sharing with you based on a recently lived experience. Not personal, but very close enough because I was very much involved in the process. Now let's get started. Now let me give you a background of the experience I'm going to be using as a case study today. This person is my friend. She came baby mooning from out of country. Now, if you don't know what baby mooning is, it's an opportunity to spend time with yourself and just immerse in the euphoria, if I should say, of, having something so beautiful about to happen. Now, this was a case that turned into having a child in this country. Now, because this was not a planned event, the time to get everything sorted was very limited. For this reason, all hands were on deck. I got involved. My husband also supported with trying to get information to get a doctor. This was when I realized how difficult it was to get information. I called Alberta Health Services. They couldn't help. I called, I don't remember what other, Alberta Health Services and one other government organization I called. They also could not help. They gave me the number of AHS and I was like, okay. In the process of looking for information, we got a hold of a midwife who gave us 3 different scenarios. First scenario was using a midwife, assuming that this was a pregnancy that was progressing naturally with no complications. It was either baby can be born at home with a midwife or at the hospital. Now, I can imagine that as an out-of-country patient, you're nervous about having a baby with a midwife. If you have not seen any of my videos, I had both my children through midwives, and my first was with a midwife at the hospital, and my second was with midwives in my living room. In the case of a midwife having your child, it's not a case of not having a medical professional involved. During my first time, I was told, we're going to go to this hospital. We have a doctor's name on file in case you need a doctor. But if it's a case of an emergency, it's an emergency for a reason. A doctor will always make themselves available depending on the severity of that emergency. So that was there, but I was at the hospital. Now for my second, the birth plan was to have the baby at home, and that's what we did. They came home with oxygen tanks and everything that they needed to prepare for an emergency in the event that there was one. I had 2 midwives. I had 2 more midwives join them because they finished their delivery early. So they came and joined them. So I had 4 midwives. I had my friends who came for the virtual baby shower because I was having a virtual baby shower when my water broke. So my friends stayed behind. I had my family on WhatsApp video. My sister was there. My husband was there. Friends distracted my older son while I was in labor and just going through the whole thing. I'm going to leave my video up here so you can watch it if you're interested in watching that birth vlog. That was over 3 years ago. The midwife explained everything to us. So I don't know what that process is like if you have to find a doctor by yourself. Or you go with a midwifery clinic that works with a hospital, take care of everything. They will attend your birth, take care of you 6 weeks postpartum. Now, the third scenario that the midwife presented to us was to go with an OB who would perform surgery, which was the case we were looking for, because my friend had been told exactly what option she had to use for the safe delivery of the baby and for the safety of her own self. This was a case of a selective cesarean section. After speaking with her, we took time to think. We asked about the cost estimate. This was very unclear to us at the time. With what the midwife said, it's either we would have to go with her but still go with an OB, or just go with an OB. Now, the reason why she was giving us an option to do both was because with a cesarean section, postpartum visits were important, and the midwife would have been able to give us that. However, the cost was going to be way more. So we decided to do some more research to see if there was an affordable way. So from all the information that the midwife gave, it would have cost over $20,000. That was very terrifying. That was just a base that we were giving as an estimate. Fortunately, my husband got involved and he provided a list with clinics to contact. So I made one call one morning. Lucky for me, the clinic said, we don't have this service, but I can send you to an organization that can help you. And so we got a number and a name. I called. There was no answer, so I left a voice message. And in less than an hour, I got a call back. And everything just happened so fast. Same day forms were sent, assessment was done, intake was done, and the next day it was money paid. Now I'm going to tell you how it works. I'm really not sure if I'm allowed to say the name of the organization here on YouTube. But I'm going to just let you send me a DM or something if you're looking for information, and I'll tell you there. And maybe give you the number. I'm going to do my best to share as much details as I can, but if I can't go all the way and you're looking for specific information, please check the description to book a time to chat with me. Now let's get into it. How did this whole process go? So they contacted us back. They sent all the forms that needed to be filled and instructions. There is a deposit of $15,000. They will leave all the instructions for how to pay, where to pay to. Once that payment is made, you send the proof of payment back to the organization. Then they will examine your situation and they will find a clinic that they work with, and they will book an appointment for you to see a doctor. Your first visit until you have your baby is part of the $15,000. Now, what is covered in the $15,000? Prenatal visits, postpartum visits, epidural for labor, what else? Administrative fees and other stuff. So if you went to the Alberta Health Services website, you can find details for patient information on uninsured anesthetic fees in labor and delivery and how much they cost. So for example, an epidural for relief of labor pain is $1,500. Pain relief is $575. There are also add-ons like if you're going to be getting pain relief with tubal ligation, it's an additional $250. And then if you're going to be getting anesthesia for other operations, you're going to be charged $600 per hour. You'll get a lot of information, including daily rates for non-residents of Canada. So bed rates, room rates is there. I'm going to get back to this later. So the hospital that was used was the Peter Lougheed Center. Now, when you go online, Peter Lougheed does not have good reviews. The poor reviews mostly come from ER, people who went through ER. I also went through ER, I think twice so far since being here, and it was an absolute disaster. But I have to tell you that the maternity unit was amazing. The nurses were amazing. Everything went very smoothly. So do not judge the hospital by the poor reviews. Peter Lougheed Hospital maternity unit is very good. Now, first visit was booked 3 weeks after all that was done. The reason why there was a delay was because she was initially booked with a clinic that cancelled the appointment because I guess they realized that there were information that wasn't matching and they were not the right clinic. I think this was a mistake on the organization's part because when they review your information, they're supposed to match you with a doctor that's very experienced with that situation. We were rescheduled for another appointment. I say we because, well, I was part of it. So she was rescheduled to see another doctor who was amazing, by the way. A female OB. She was God sent indeed. She was just amazing. Highly recommend her. Unfortunately, you have no control over which doctor will see you. They will book a doctor on their own based on your situation. Now, because time was so close to delivery, my friend only had one prenatal visit where she was sent for blood work and ultrasound. Now, you have paid $15,000 deposit, but there are expenses that still came out of her pocket. For example, ultrasounds and blood work had to be paid out of pocket. but how much? Let's see how much. Now I have the receipt here on my phone, so I'm just going to take you through the cost for the ultrasound and the blood work. Now this was a specific ultrasound to know the position of the placenta before a CS would be scheduled. So this ultrasound cost $404.60. So they ran 5 tests plus collection and handling fee. I brought everything to $205.83. I was very surprised because I thought that blood work would be more expensive. Now let's talk about something that we did leading up to childbirth and then postpartum. I spoke with a friend of mine and she suggested that we go with a doula to provide some kind of emotional support before birth and then postpartum. Now, this is a woman who's just here without her spouse or her family. I have 2 children of my own, so being there for her as much as I would have liked was difficult. And so it was amazing. It was a great suggestion to have a doula as she got ready for childbirth. First pregnancies can be very stressful, and so having a doula was just great. So what a doula does is to provide you with emotional support through pregnancy, labor, delivery, and postpartum. Now, the cost of a doula can range anywhere from $40 to $60 per hour. So in comparison to getting a midwife, which would have cost over $5,000, that was a better option for us. So the doula was able to support her and also be at her birth. So she attended her birth and stayed for almost 12 hours and saw her through the whole process, helped her. The doula can also advocate for you in times when like you don't know what to say. Maybe it's, oh, don't swallow the baby, or I want the baby, this way, that way, or I want to hold my baby, or, keep the baby. Like just making those small decisions. A doula can speak on your behalf if you're not able to, make those decisions. So these are things that you would have already spoken with your doula about, so that in the event that you're not at capacity to talk to anyone, they can act on your behalf. Having a doula was the best thing because it took a lot of stress away from me as well, because I would have been very worried about her. So it made me feel at ease. I was getting texts to know what was going on. It was just very nice. It made the whole process super easy on the day of the birth. So let's skip back to the day of the birth. On the morning of the birth, she arrived 1 hour earlier to go into accounting, the accounting department, to deposit some money for staying. So even though when you have a CS, you always estimate a minimum of 2 nights, but you get to pay for the first night in advance. So for the first night, the total amount that was paid was $7,760. I'm just going to go here to give you a little bit of rates, because this is based on the rates for different rooms and baby, right? It's expensive, very expensive. So for the standard room rate for mom, it's $4,892.50. For a semi-private room, it's an addition of $150. For a full private room, it's an addition of $187. For a healthy newborn, the cost per night is $2,867.50. For intensive care unit ICU, $12,055. For NICU, NICU, $12,055. For emergency outpatient visits, just emergency, $1,100. For surgery, low severity, $3,337. For medium, $12,150. For high, for very severe surgery, daycare surgery, $37,362. For CT scan, $1,920. For hemodialysis, $1,477. MRI, $1,740. So let's hope that nothing about your pregnancy or delivery requires you to make any of these extra procedures, because that's where you have to pay lots of money. However, it's very important to know what it could potentially cost you if you wanted to plan for any unforeseen events or circumstances. But yeah, anyways, childbirth went really well. Because the time was very limited, there isn't much to tell. That organization really just takes care of everything. Now, let's see the breakdown of the costs. The doctor who delivered the baby, the OB, her charge was $3,274.65. So other doctor's fee was $1,334.95. The postpartum visit was $191.70, and then administrative fee was $450. Everything came to a total of $5,251.30. So this was a very good situation because not even half of the $15,000 was spent. And then there was a refund of $9,748. They did more further breakdown, but I just gave you the whole breakdown just to save us the time of, putting everything in small bits. Now let's talk about the total plus the test, ultrasound, and everything else. The total came to $13,621.19. Plus you have to consider buying things for the baby, accommodation and feeding, living expenses, transportation, and things like that. So minus how much you're budgeting just to have the baby, you have to think about maybe an extra $10,000 for accommodation, living expenses, and shopping and everything else. Now, even though typically a mom should be at the hospital for an average of 2 days after a cesarean section, I told you my friend had best case in everything. She was doing so well after the first day, so they discharged her the next day before the next night rate would have started. So that was amazing because she didn't have to pay another $7,000 for another night. When I say best case, it was best case everything. If you're talking breakdown and you wanted to include an estimate for yourself, I would say make an estimate for 2 nights because you may not be in the same shoes where you can, be able to go home right after. And mind you, they will not discharge you until you meet all the requirements for a discharge. Baby must poo, you must have a fart, you must be able to walk on your own, you must be able to do certain things before they will feel confident enough to discharge you. Lucky for my girl, she hit all of that. Baby also met her own requirements before she was allowed to go home. Now, when you get home, you can apply for the child's birth certificate. It comes very quickly. The estimate was supposed to be 3 weeks, but it came in a week or less than a week. I don't remember. It was insanely fast. Also, you can apply for the child's passport right away or as soon as you have all the information that you need, which is the child's birth certificate. This is why on day 1, day 2, you should be applying for the child's birth certificate very quickly because depending on the province where you're going to have the baby, it may not come right away. So apply as quickly as you can so that as soon as you have the child's birth certificate, you can apply for the child's passport so that you can prepare yourself to return. Ideally, the child should be safe to fly after 3 months. It would be nice for you to see a doctor to give you some advice on that. First time mom, there were some concerns. We called a clinic that accepted to see the baby. The doctor saw the baby. Another thing was after the baby comes home, 1 day or 2 days after, a public health nurse will come and see the baby and the mom. They'll give you advice, support you, answer any questions that you might have. You have 2 visits. One is physical, one is on the phone, just to check in to make sure that you're well. The public health nurse visit is free. You don't have to pay for that. They come to your home, they make sure you're fine, they make sure baby is eating well, they make sure you're breastfeeding well, give you any advice that can help you to have a more seamless postpartum process. If you're having any challenges, maybe mental, physical, they'll be able to refer you to services that can help you. The doula also supported with, helping mom to sleep while baby was still adjusting to real life. Your receipts that contains the breakdown and your refund from the organization that's in charge of this whole childbirth tourism doesn't come until 10 weeks after. So if you're going to be leaving before 10 weeks, you have to know what that looks like and ask questions so that you know how you're going to receive your check if you're going to be getting a refund. In some cases, it could be that you're going to be owing. So you're going to know if you're going to be owing and you have to be able to pay the difference. It was a very interesting long 4 months with my friend. I was very happy to see how we came from not knowing what to do to doing all these things in such a short period of time. And I'm so blessed to have been able to go through this process with her. And I'm just telling you now, it's a lot of financial commitment. It's challenging, but the end is just amazing. So if you're watching this video and you're wondering, oh, this is Calgary, how does this play out in other provinces? Provinces in Canada can operate independently of one another. I'm hoping that even though I cannot give you the exact step-by-step for another province, I'm hoping that this video helps you to know the right questions that you should be asking. So instead of saying who, where, how, just is there an organization that can help me through this? And then you'll be able to know how to narrow down your search. Anyways, if you found this video helpful, please give this video a thumbs up for me. Share it with anyone you think might find it useful. Subscribe to my channel before you leave today. Leave me a comment in in the chat. I would love to chat with you. If you had a completely different experience or you have something else to share that might be exciting or helpful to someone who's watching this video, please let me know in the comment section. I love reading your comments, so please feel free to engage in the comment section. Also, check the description and learn how to book a chat with me if you want to go into more in-depth conversations where I can guide you and give you resources. I can do that for you if you book a chat with me. Just use my booking link. Let me know what you like to talk about so I can get those information ready for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.